Welcome back. So there are 4 COVID-19 vaccines approved by Health Canada. But do you know the difference between them, or do you have any other questions when it comes to these vaccines before you roll up your sleeve? Let's break it all down. An expert joining me now, Brenda Chang. She's a clinical pharmacy practitioner at St. Michael's Academic Family Health Team. Good morning to you, Brenda.
Good morning.
I have no doubt you are inundated with questions on a daily basis, so hopefully we can break things down specifically with vaccines, because that is where the conversation is going right now. So let's do this. So we have 4 vaccines right now in our arsenal here in Canada. Let's talk about the differences between all of them.
Yes, so definitely there are now 4 vaccines, which is very exciting for us here in Canada. So essentially, we only have really 2 different types of vaccines among the 4 vaccines. So the first 2 that were approved are the mRNA vaccines, and the next 2 that we've recently had approved, the AstraZeneca and the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, are the viral vector vaccines.
Now, when you... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so when we're talking about the vaccines, really the end result is the same. All the 4 vaccines help our body to produce a protein that we can recognize that is on the surface of the coronavirus, which is the spike protein. So when we start off with, let's say, the mRNA vaccines, how it's carried into our body is in a lipid particle. And in that lipid particle, there is a genetic material called the mRNA. And that material is then translated by our cells to create the spike protein. And our cells within our body then recognizes this spike protein on the surface of our cells, and it calls in other cells from our immune system, the white blood cells, to come and attack the cells that have the spike protein. So in terms of the difference between that and the viral vector vaccines, the only difference really is that the viral vector vaccines carry the genetic material into our cells using a virus, a safe virus that doesn't reproduce in our body, and that is the main difference. So in the end result is still the same. Our bodies will produce a spike protein and help to recognize that, and then we develop an immune response to that.
So Brenda, when you hear these numbers when it comes to efficacy, how accurate are these numbers? Should we be paying very close attention? You hear people saying, okay, well, this one's only this percentage versus this one, so I want to have the Pfizer or Moderna. First of all, we don't get the choice unless it's recommended by Health Canada. Of course, AstraZeneca not being recommended for those 65 and over. So how do you break that down when you look at efficacy? What does it really mean?
Yeah, that's a great question. So in terms of vaccine efficacy, what we're really looking at is, let's say in a group of 100 people who receive the vaccine, if we're saying 95% efficacy, we really mean that those people who have received the vaccine have a 95% less chance of getting the COVID-19 infection, symptomatic COVID-19 infection. So when we're comparing the efficacy, so as you can see in this case, the AstraZeneca and the Johnson & Johnson have a slightly lower overall efficacy, but it doesn't mean that they will not be protected. It just means that overall, the people who have received these vaccines will have a 70 to 72% chance less of getting COVID-19 infection. So we do know that they're very good. And these numbers are actually for just symptomatic COVID-19 infection. In fact, for all 4 vaccines, we know that for preventing severe disease, the numbers are excellent. And in fact, some of them are close to 100%. So not having severe disease of COVID-19, meaning you need to go to the hospital, etc.
Brenda, we get a lot of questions in our newsroom saying, well, I don't know if I want to get this because are there side effects? Do we know enough? And how do I detect what a side effect is if it's serious? So what can people expect when they do get this vaccine?
Yeah, so certainly there are side effects. And as with all vaccines, side effects can be quite common in some cases. For the COVID-19 vaccines, there are definitely some side effects that are more common. And when we say more common, we're really talking about more than 1 in 10 people may expect to see these side effects. So the side effects that we're looking at really are, 1, at the local site where you get the injection. So the most common one is definitely pain and soreness to the arm. And then sometimes we'll have systemic side effects, which means side effects that we feel all over our body. So the main ones are headache, tiredness, and muscle pain. So those are the most common ones. And a few individuals may also feel a fever, joint pain, etc. But keep in mind that side effects are not a bad thing. So side effects is actually the way that our body is responding. It's our immune system responding. So when we are starting to move around our white blood cells to fight off the infection, that's when we start to feel side effects like the soreness, the muscle aches, and the fever.
Okay, Brenda, all great pieces of information here, and you are generous enough to stick around, share your time with our audience here. So we are encouraging you, our viewers right now, if you are awake, if you have questions when it comes to vaccines, side effects, as you heard Brenda say, please let us know. And she's sticking around to answer your questions. 1-866-267-3797 is the number. You can also email us, feedback@breakfasttelevision.ca. And we're going to come back in about 20 minutes time with Brenda to take all of those questions and more. Thank you so much, Brenda.